The instant you place her at the center of your existence, you silently admit she never deserved that position. That is the contradiction that destroys decent men every day. You offer her consistency, you offer her focus, you reply instantly, sacrifice freely, adjust your world to prove she matters. You believe you're building devotion, you believe you're locking in love. But deep inside her subconscious, something else is happening. You are signaling surrender. And nature has no respect for what has already surrendered. What is conquered loses its gravity. Most men think loyalty works like a deal. I give her everything, she gives me faithfulness. But human behavior, especially female psychology, does not operate on fairness or contracts. It operates on leverage, respect, and emotional polarity. The moment she feels she is the source of your joy, she becomes your center. And women do not stay loyal to men who orbit them. They stay loyal to men they cannot fully command. This is where we dismantle the lies you were raised on. This is where the treat her right and she'll stay fantasy dies. In its place, we install the Stoic structure. This is not cruelty, it is not manipulation, it is immovability. It is becoming the fixed point in a chaotic world. By the end of this, you'll understand how loyalty is triggered not by pleading, but by presence. Not because you begged for it, but because she senses the risk of losing something irreplaceable. But understand this first. The moment you apply this, the balance changes. She will push, she will test. And if you relapse into the old version of yourself, it collapses. You must be prepared to execute the part of you that needs her approval to feel whole. We begin with the first fatal mistake, the fantasy of safe love. You were told women want safety, predictability, softness, a man with no sharp edges, so you dull yourself, you swallow frustration, you become neutral, flat. But here is the biological truth no one tells you. Safety without tension breeds boredom, and boredom is where betrayal grows. This does not mean danger in a physical sense, it means danger in a psychological sense. She must know you can walk away. She must feel that your standards outweigh your loneliness. Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotional emptiness. That is false. Stoicism in relationships is emotional sovereignty, control over reaction. When you apply Stoicism with a woman, you are flexible about trivial matters and immovable about your principles. Picture this. She approaches with emotional turbulence, complaints, passive aggression, tests disguised as moods. The average man scrambles. He explains. He fixes. He absorbs her emotions because her discomfort destabilizes him. He becomes a raft in her storm. The Stoic man is a lighthouse. The waves hit, the water rises. He does not flinch. He listens without urgency. He observes without fear, sometimes even with a quiet smile. He does not inherit her chaos. He offers his calm. This unsettles her in the right way. It communicates that your internal frame is stronger than hers. When you react to everything she does, you confess that she governs your emotional state. That is submission. When you acknowledge her emotions without feeding them and return to your work, your book, your mission, you communicate something else entirely. My peace outranks your drama. That message creates a vacuum. Most men panic in that vacuum. They rush to fill it with reassurance. Are we okay? Do you still care? You must resist that impulse. Leave the space open. Let silence do its work. Curiosity lives there. Tension lives there. Attraction is born there. Loyalty is never handed to the man who asks for it. It is given to the man who commands it through conduct. And the most commanding behavior is restraint, silence. Think back to your last argument. You likely spoke too much. You explained yourself into the ground. You negotiated your dignity for understanding. Every explanation is a status drop. The Stoic man does not plead to be understood. He allows misunderstanding. He is comfortable being miscast temporarily because he knows who he is. This leads to the principle of the gatekeeper. She is a visitor in your life, not its designer. That sentence stings because you were raised on fantasies where love means surrender. But look around. The men who reorganize their entire existence around their partner. Who ask permission? Who shrink? Are they admired or tolerated? Now observe the man with direction. The man who declines without hostility. the man who cancels plans because his work demands it, the man who is warm when present but unaffected when absent. That is the man women respect. That is the man they fear losing. Stoic affection is earned, not automatic. When she is respectful, loyal, soft, you give generously. But the instant disrespect appears, the energy withdraws. Quietly. No arguments, no lectures, just absence. This is conditioning. Behavior that is rewarded repeats. Behavior that meets silence dies. If you continue giving attention when she misbehaves, you train her to disrespect you. You must possess the discipline to detach, to emotionally step back, to let her feel the cold until she corrects course. This demands mastery over your own craving for validation. You want her approval. You want reassurance. Kill that hunger. It weakens you. Now observe how you speak. The Stoic cadence is deliberate, calm, unhurried. Nervous men speak quickly because they fear losing the floor. Powerful men pause because they own it. When she asks a question, you breathe first. You think, then you answer. That delay signals status, independence, self-governance. It unsettles the part of her psyche that seeks control, not through fear of harm, but fear of irrelevance. Indifference is the true threat. Women are hypergamous by nature. They pursue the highest perceived value. Value is not income alone. It is emotional resilience. If she tests you and you fold, biology records a failure. She may stay for comfort, but respect erodes. And without respect, loyalty is fiction. To maintain loyalty, you must remain partially unknowable. Once she fully decodes you, your triggers, your needs, your patterns, you become a tool. Useful, reliable, uninspiring. Stoicism preserves mystery. You do not spill your inner world. She senses depth without mapping it. She knows you care, but not that you depend. Need repels. Desire attracts. Practically, this means you lead. You choose. Time, place, direction. You allow suggestions without surrendering authority. When conversation becomes shallow or trivial, you disengage without apology. You elevate the interaction. You communicate without words that your attention is not cheap. Effort creates attachment. When she invests, she bonds. We treasure what costs us something. Free attention is disposable. Now understand the emotional ledger. Most men operate in deficit. Trading self-respect for affection, you must operate from surplus. Build a life that demands your energy, a mission that competes with her presence, not as a tactic, but as reality. If she is your purpose, you are finished. When she becomes an addition to a life you already respect, she relaxes. Women do not want to be the sole pillar of a man's happiness. It is exhausting. Remove that burden and intimacy deepens. Here is the hardest truth. You must be willing to lose her to keep her. Fear breeds clinginess. Clinginess suffocates attraction. The Stoic man accepts impermanence, memento mori. This relationship may end, and that acceptance frees him. Detachment sharpens presence. When you stop gripping, she leans in. Push-pull is physics, not romance. Treat her like a cat, not a dog. Dogs chase, cats approach when ignored. Now the tests. She accuses, she provokes. You never listen. You think you're better. The weak man defends. Logic fails. The Stoic man diffuses. Humor, agreement in principle, calm acknowledgement. He does not drown in her splash. When tests stop working, trust begins. Leadership breeds loyalty. You cannot lead from submission. Say no. Mean it. No is structure. Structure creates gravity. Be solid. The world is unstable. She seeks ground. She may challenge it, but she rests on it. And do not confuse Stoicism with passivity. The Stoic lover is intense, controlled in public, ferocious in private. Contrast creates obsession. But once intimacy ends, the armor returns. Mission resumes. Distance restores polarity. Always close kills desire. Always distant kills connection. Balance is power. Check your ego. Ego wants validation. Stoicism wants effectiveness. Vulnerability is strength when contained. Weakness is outsourcing your stability. She is not your therapist. Do not ask her to carry your wounds. Treat her with respect, but never reverence. Appreciate the fire, but remember you can extinguish it if it burns the house. Walk the line. Too far one way is tyranny. Too far the other is self-erasure. Maintain yourself. Body, mind, discipline. She mirrors how you treat you. Control yourself and the relationship aligns. Lose control and it collapses. Loyalty is not a gift. It is a response to strength, to silence, to boundaries. Reflect on what unsettled you here. That discomfort is growth. Tomorrow, act differently. Handle your life first. Speak less, stand firmer, and observe how she responds. She has been waiting for this version of you. Stop chasing. Become the ground. Be the rock. But remember, even rocks are prepared for erosion. Awareness is protection. Enjoy her, but never forget human nature. Stay sharp, stay sovereign, and never surrender the center of your universe again.